stop eating at 8 o'clock because we're out doing some mischief that we shouldn't have been doing.
Fair. You're not eating.
Get home late, and you wouldn't wake up until like noon.
Correct.
So you like slept through your whole 12 hours. But you're
also a teenager, though. We're different when we're teenagers.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Truth Tonic for Women. I'm Dr. Tracy. I'm here today with Amanda, and we're going to try to make it make sense for you with all things nutrition. How are you today?
Super duper.
What have you been doing?
Well, fun story. Big storm this morning.
Yes.
Equals no power. So it's been a challenge. So I've been at your house all morning. So there you go. Been ready to go.
It happens, I guess. It's a funny thing that in this neighborhood, there are certain pockets of the community that has power, while other people don't have power.
Yeah, like literally across the street. I'm like, their lights are on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this isn't working. This is bullshit. Make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
Yeah. So.
We literally, our friends like live in a triangle, and out of the triangle, one of us will have power, the other two won't.
This grid does not make sense.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
But it is what it is. Hopefully it'll be restored before it gets too hot.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I thought that today we would start off with a little icebreaker. Brought some cards.
Oh boy.
I'm going to pull one. You're going to pull one.
Okay.
Have no idea what they are.
I've never seen this game before. I mean, okay. Have you?
I just saw the cards and I was like, that might be a good icebreaker situation.
Okay.
I'll go first.
Okay.
What do you love most about your family?
Oh, man. I haven't said anything nice about some of them recently, but they don't deserve it. I will say in terms of, I don't know, for the most part, everybody's pretty genuine. I'll give them that.
So honesty.
Honesty, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's important.
It is. Do you have to answer it too?
No. You
okay.
have
All right. Okay.
If
we could go anywhere at any time, this is a good question for us. If we could go anywhere at any time, what you want to show me?
That's a good question.
Right?
Because there's so many things. I think that one of the coolest things that I can say that I've done is go to the actual Blue Lagoon in Iceland. And you get in this water and there's like mud at the bottom and you like cover yourself in mud, and then there's like a spa that you can go in and do like the hot cold spa that they love to do.
Yeah, I've seen that. And you've done that?
For here.
I did not know that.
So cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that'd be it.
I think I would accept that anytime. Let's go right now.
Steven, do you hear that? Let's go.
Seems like, okay, you guys go right ahead. Now fun.
So what I wanted to talk about today was nutrition, because I feel as though it's summer. Everybody wants to get their like diet on. They want to go back to the gym. You guys, the gyms are so crowded right about now. It's insanity. And now we have that little helper that everybody wants to get their hands on. Ozempic, Wegovy, Manjaro.
Semaglutide.
I mean,
yeah.
What do you feel about that?
You know, it's one of those things that, I mean, I personally think that most of us know somebody or somebodies that are taking some form of that. I think for a lot of people, I mean, it is kind of a miracle thing. Like it's insane. With that said, though, I have concerns, or I've seen concerns about the mental health that comes along with the lack of nutrition advice, or the people who are like, I'm just never going to get off of it. And we just don't know the long-term effect on some of this.
Right.
And I know that semaglutide and peptides have been around for a long time. People take those, but talking about the prescriptions, like the Ozempic and everything like that, which, is a little bit different than some of the other stuff that's out there. So again, I mean, it's insane that, you can give somebody this like peptide and
right.
It just, you know, I mean, I'm sure it has saved tons of lives. I know it's helped a lot of people with orthopedic issues, arthritis, and I mean, your self-confidence. And I mean, I can only imagine, you know, but I mean, I think the people who are like, I think we've all been there, were like, I just really want to lose 10 pounds.
Yeah.
And the people who are doing it for that, I'm just like,
Well, I think it brings up a couple of issues for me. So let me scoot back a bit and explain. Wegovy and Ozempic are your semi-glutides, and they work on your blood sugars. So they level them out so you don't get as hungry and your insulin levels kind of stay stable. The Monjovi, the new one, that actually works on the brain. So it's kind of tricking your brain into figuring out or thinking that you're full.
I think it's a ghrelin, like,
Yeah, so it's
leveler
like
also,
so
whatever.
different in that way. Also, Monjovi you have to take daily. The other two you take once a week. It's an injection. You can go to your regular doctor and they can tell you if they think that you're a candidate for it. But a lot of people are going online, going to like,
literally
pop-up
like
shops.
black market,
Right.
best way to put it. And that's what's
Right.
scary, because you don't know what you're getting. And that, I would say that with any medication that, you know,
Right.
you're supposed to take. So,
And the other thing about Ozempic and Wegovy was made especially for weight loss, whereas Ozempic are for type 2 diabetics.
Right.
And it has literally changed so many of their lives, made it so much easier for them to lose weight. But the problem is when you're out of Wegovy, then you're going to go to Ozempic, and then there's been a shortage of Ozempic, which means that your, brother, sister, grandmother can't get their medication for their diabetes because everyone's taking these drugs for weight loss.
or it's exorbitantly expensive.
And that's the other thing.
Yeah.
So if you're taking Wegovy, it's usually not covered by insurance. It's $1,000 plus for a 4-week supply. So it's basically a pen with medication in it, and you keep it for a week. And every week you give yourself an injection. Very small needle, very straightforward, and it kind of suppresses your appetite. But like I just said, insurance does not cover Wegovy because it's for weight loss. It does cover Ozempic now a lot more than it used to, but before it was like almost impossible for these patients who were 300 pounds or more with diabetes to even get Ozempic covered. They were paying for it out of pocket.
Right. But I also do know from what I've read recently about, or like reading groups about people who are getting it, insurance only covers it for X amount, because you're not supposed to be on it indefinitely anyway. And, depending upon your insurance benefits, it may be $1,000 a month anyway. It just depends on how that's stacked up. Right. But I've read that a lot of people, or you can just go get something compounded, which is much cheaper. But that'd be like a semaglutide. If you can find a compounding pharmacy that's willing to do it and just forego the insurance and pay like $250 a month or something like that.
If you can find those avenues.
Yeah,
but
if you can find it.
I do believe that for some people, even those avenues are very hard and winding to get through. The other thing is a lot of people can have side effects from Wegovy and Ozempic: nausea, vomiting, heartburn, diarrhea,
the gastroparesis.
just gas. Also, low blood sugar. Like you're having fun, enjoying your day, and whoop, you might faint.
Well, gosh, I wonder why. Because you're not eating.
Yes. That's one of the big things.
So a segue here.
Yes.
With that being said, obviously we know these medications. If you have a ton of weight to lose, you're going to lose it faster anyway, and that would go with any kind of diet or exercise regimen that you're using. And for the record, a lot of people will flip out over like, oh, well, you're losing muscle mass, and this also is a good segue too. Yeah. Anytime you lose weight, you're going to lose some of it from muscle mass. It is what it is, which is why you need to be exercising and resistance training. So lifting weights, doing doing body weight. Your body has weight. Do that kind of stuff.
Ladies, you're not going to get bulky if you pick up a weight.
You have to try real hard to get bulky. I'm telling you.
And eat a lot of protein.
Exactly. But with that segue as well, even though it may be a struggle, whether you're having a side effect from this medication or whatever peptide you're on, that you might not want to eat, but just really, really important that you need to be at least focusing on a protein intake. Women or 150-pound person needs to be, and this is just to prevent protein deficiency, about 50 to 54 grams per body mass.
Protein?
A protein. Okay. That is bare minimum.
Right.
If you're training, Tracy works out, I work out, we're going to probably need a little bit more protein intake.
I'm like, I need 120.
That's kind of what I shoot for as well.
And it's a lot to consume.
It is.
Believe me.
Man, I've really had to get on the cottage cheese train. And I hate,
God, no.
I know.
Never.
I know. I hate it.
Never.
But it's so
rotten
much
milk.
I know.
Never doing it. It's disgusting.
I hear you, because there's lots of avenues to get it, but it's a very low calorie, high protein. Like a cup of cottage cheese is like 160 calories, and it's 28 grams of protein, and that's at 2% milk fat. That's a ridiculous amount, and I get it. Like, it's weird. It's
rotten milk.
It is, but so is cheese, and cheese is magical too. So, I know it is. I know. I'm telling you, there's lots of sources, but if the bare minimum, if you're trying to make yourself eat because you know you have to, or you're taking the weight loss drugs and you are working out, which you should be doing, you've got to focus on your protein intake, or just remembering to eat if you can.
Let's break this down for everybody. So it's summer, and you're thinking about nutrition. You want to lose a couple of pounds. You're trying to decide if you want to get on the Ozempic bandwagon. You might go old school and do the whole, what is it, fin? What
I don't think you can get that anymore. It was.
I think that you actually can. I've known people that are like, I'm taking something to suppress my appetite, and it's like basically speed. You're like,
yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of that. Like, I mean, you can go pick up some Yellow Jackets at the gas station.
I mean, caffeine.
Kool-Aid man straight through the wall if you want, and ruin your pants. That's fine. But
or you want to do it the old-fashioned way. There are basically, there's a formula, right? Because with any of those things that we just said, we don't want you not eating anything all day and just taking Ozempic, or, your speed for weight loss.
Yeah, exactly.
Or for that matter, working out on the treadmill for an hour.
Yes, if it's not something that you prefer to do, and that's a whole other can of worms that we're going to have to get into one of these days. But it's about a balanced diet, right? Yes, and also people want to argue with this. It really is an energy balance, calories in, calories out. That's how you cannot lose fat without a calorie deficit. Right. So that's just the basics. That hasn't changed. There's been some crazy stuff that's come up that tries to argue that, but that's just the bottom line. And I know not everybody likes to hear the bottom line, and I'm sorry.
And
it's pretty simple. It's simple, but it's not easy.
Right. But within those parameters of a carb, a protein, and a fat, you have to abide by, and I'm sorry everyone, portion control.
Correct.
It's huge what Americans think is a portion.
Well, I mean,
compared to
go out to eat and you're like, we should be splitting this, or at least turn it into 2 meals. So ideally, a real easy way to measure this. And again, if you are training, you want to maybe double the portion of your protein, but the size of your palm is like a good measurement for a protein size. Okay. Double it, make it a palm and a half if you're trying to increase that. Carbohydrates are going to be a handful, and fats.
So that's your thumb. Rice and pasta.
Yeah.
So like palm full.
Exactly.
Not a 2 handful.
Not a bucket.
Not the serving size that we're used to, that our mother gave us for dinner with spaghetti and meatballs.
Yeah.
Which was the whole entire plate.
Right. And you're going to finish it before you get off the table. So,
well, and a good trick for portion control is to eat out of your smaller plates. So instead of your dinner plate, eat off of a salad plate.
Absolutely.
Or they now make, so this is an interesting story. I'm in New York, and I feel as though I'm not losing weight and I'm exercising, but nothing's coming off. So I needed to figure out what it was. So I went to go see a registered dietitian, and I thought, I know this has to do with what I'm eating, because believe it or not, when you are trying to lose weight, nutrition is 90% and exercise is 10%.
Correct.
It's like as crazy as it seems that you can work out like a mad woman.
That's also
if you don't eat correctly.
100% correct, because also too, extreme exercise, and I mean, we box, like we do some pretty intense exercise a couple times a week. Intense activity, and that's why it's also a less is more approach when it comes to exercise too, or it doesn't have to be crazy like that. The more intense your exercise, like your routine is, you're going to be hungry. And you've got to be mindful about that. So it's like, don't just fast after this crazy workout, because you're going to eat everything in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And if you're not tracking that, you would be shocked in how much you eat.
It's crazy.
And I know I'm guilty of it. Sometimes you're just like, oh, feed me.
Right.
It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, 100%, you're absolutely right about that.
So when I went to the dietitian, I had to tell her how I ate. So I had to write down whatever I was eating,
Don't you hate that?
Yeah, it's like, and in return, I had homework, you guys. I had to write it down. I had to stick to it. I had to send it to her. I had to like download an app so I could, track all of my calories. But she was so great in the way that she explained things to me that made sense, and she didn't make me feel guilty for any of my choices. I sat down and she said, "Do you drink?" And I'm like, does the sun shine? But she said, "Well, what do you drink?" And I said, "I'm a wine, champs, and I love a good bourbon." And she's like, "This'll work." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Because there's so many people who want to lose weight who enjoy beer, for instance. It's like one of the worst things that you can drink because you get so full, has so many calories. I mean, there is the light version, but
you know what? That's not fun.
But it's not fun." But what she was able to do was one, we talked about, I hopped on Amazon, and there are these plates that look like the baby plates of yesteryear, when you like 3 is divided in 3 sections. And it tells you, if you use this plate and you put your carbs here, your protein here, and your fat there, you literally see it, right? So it's one thing for someone to say, hey, a portion of protein is like a card size. But if it's in your face, it's on a plate, and you're trying to get like, you cook that piece of chicken and you're trying to get that piece of chicken in that like fourth of a sectional, and you're like, oh, I have been eating too much. This doesn't fit.
Yeah.
But say you do that for a week, your mind becomes acclimated into that's a serving size. So it's easier to go out to restaurants and order and know I can pick off this plate, this piece, and take the rest home.
Yeah.
Because that was something I learned. I would take half my meal home all the time. I loved having a cappuccino in the morning. And I was also having 2 boiled eggs, right? I was trying to get my protein, and in New York, you're always cold in the winter. You want something cold to drink. And she said, well, let's go back to the basis. We have protein, carb, and a fat. So if you have a cappuccino and you pair that with a banana, you have your breakfast for the morning. So, because that cappuccino is like 200 calories, because you are still doing your calories. But the 2 eggs was adding to my calorie count. And it's not that it was bad for me, but at the end of the day, I was over calories because I was overeating breakfast because of that cappuccino.
100%.
And it was like one of those things that you choose. I can do 2 eggs, or I can get my cappuccino that I love and that's work it around that way.
You got to work it around stuff. And that's the thing too. Like, we're not talking about like, everybody thinks this stuff is so difficult, and to some degree that it is, but also like, if you know that you're going to go out, you're having a big night, you're going to go out, have some wine, you're going to have steak, you're going to go somewhere fancy, you can plan your day around that. And by that, I mean, I know people who I think we're all guilty of it, is I'm just not going to eat all day so I can stuff my face later.
Right.
That's really stupid. I'm just going to throw that out there and say it. It's just not smart. It's just not smart. Like, you can still enjoy yourself without starving yourself and then binging like crazy later.
Right. Not smart.
It's not smart. So sorry if you're doing that, and if it's something that you do regularly, you do need to look in on that and think like,
right,
okay, got it. So That's a tip. It's okay to eat.
Yeah.
But it's okay to be mindful. Be like, I know I'm going to go out. We're going to go have a margarita and we're going to have Mexican.
Right.
We're going to enjoy life.
Right.
Life's too short not to have some queso and some chips from time to time, guys.
Right.
But, for that day, you might want to eat lighter for lunch. You just be mindful. Please eat your breakfast. I mean, I know some people aren't breakfast eaters and that's fine. But
that is fine. I mean, you guys,
it is.
You don't have to wake up and eat your breakfast. Breakfast used to make me nauseated for the first 10 years of my adult life.
I get hungry at 10 o'clock, but I will say with, certain workout regimens, like when you get done from the gym after you've burned 600 calories doing whatever, I need to eat something at some point close to after that. I need to refuel my body, but I don't want to be in the kitchen at 10:30 or 11 o'clock, literally eating everything in sight because you need it at that point.
Yeah.
So
your body tells you what you need.
It certainly
But
does.
on that note, what do you think about intermittent fasting?
Oh, we could do a whole other episode on that.
I really feel as though, and this is what I thought about when I tried it for the first time. I thought, this is why I was so skinny as a teenager. I would stop eating at 8 o'clock because we're out doing some mischief that we shouldn't have been doing.
Fair, you're not eating.
Get home late, and you wouldn't wake up until noon.
Correct.
So you slept through your whole 12 hours.
But you're also a teenager, though. We're different when we're teenagers. So
true, but I'm logically, this makes a lot of sense.
That is true. I mean, you definitely, you're doing the summertime thing and you wake up at 3 p.m. and have a bowl of cereal. Yeah. It's you haven't had anything. And that is true. It's not, but that's what teenagers do. But we were also, when you're in a growth spurt, you're eating tons more, but you're also burning calories, et cetera, et cetera. But with intermittent fasting in general, it's really good. Evidence shows that it's really kind of good for anti-aging.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
So intermittent fasting, if you do not know what it is when you go periods of time without eating. So the fasting part, let's just say I want to do, usually there's 3, if I can remember correctly. Mm-hmm. There's an 8-hour fast, a 12-hour fast, and then a 14 to 16,
14 to 16
hour fast. They say it's better if you do 16 hours, but I've read different articles. It's better for men to do 16 hours. It's better for women to do 12 hours.
Yeah.
So what you would do is, let's just say you got up at 8 o'clock and you start eating, and this means anything except for 50 calories or less. So if you drink black coffee, you're in the clear. You can drink that as much as you want.
But if you're going to Starbucks
and getting a cappuccino, exactly. No, sorry, it's not working because milk has sugar in it. So you get up, and as soon as you start eating, you eat for that amount of time. And then you fast for the 8 hours, or you fast for the 12 hours, the 14 or 16 hours. And it says that it's basically your body is breaking down fat and helping you to lose weight because it's more efficient because there hasn't been a whole meal in those fasting hours.
In theory, yes, and it definitely can work. It depends. Some people, it's not any better than traditional dieting though. So if it freaks you out to be oh my God, I'm going to die, I can't do that, I cannot intermittent fast, well, don't worry about it. If you have everything else in check, then you're good. There's actually I actually heard another podcast talk about this, and it had some very interesting research within 30 minutes. This was summary. But essentially you're fasting. I mean, hence the term breakfast. It's breaking your fast. So, if you stop eating at 8 o'clock, you do your bedtime night, or you're not having anything else, you're done with your dinner and dessert. You go to bed at 10, you wake up, you go to the gym. If you can wait till 11 o'clock to eat something, you're essentially, there you go.
Yeah.
So it's not a really complicated thing.
It's not hard either.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it and you're oh my God.
You're doing it anyway.
How am I going to do that? But and another thing, my registered dietitian told me, stop eating before 7. It really is a thing. Mm-hmm. You give your body enough time to kind of break down that food. You're not going to bed. I mean, it's good for a whole host of reasons. You can get GERD if you go to sleep on on a full stomach,
right.
All that. I mean, and I tell this to everybody when I start talking about going to sleep with a full stomach and getting GERD. Your stomach isn't here. Your stomach is up here.
That's why you
it
have
makes
the
more sense when you know that, your stomach's here, not down here. And everyone calls your stomach your belly, but your stomach.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in there. Well, the other thing too about that, we all know the importance of sleep.
Yes.
And honestly, up there, when you're looking at the whole term of, having a healthy body, healthy mind, like it's a whole psychosociological factor, but when it comes down to it, like one of the top things is sleep. Right. And if you go to bed, I mean, people need to eat when they got to eat. Like everybody has these different chronotypes. Like some people don't want to eat breakfast. And I'm kind of one of those. Yeah. Some people have to get up and eat and they want like the bacon and eggs and whatever it is that they want. And then they're not big dinner people. It just depends. Right. But when you do go to bed and you do have acid reflux or gut, you're not going to sleep. Yeah. You're going to be a mess. And we know only when we're tired, we don't make good decisions. I know I don't.
And you just eat for no reason.
Yeah, it really screws you up. And there's a big component. You talk to any dietitian or any whoever it is, sleep's going to be up there and they're going to ask you about it. Yeah. And if you're struggling with some of that, you probably need to get a better sleep routine. Right. There's lots of information about that and whatever's going to work for you. The same thing with the diet stuff and the intermittent fasting. All this stuff is not... And this is what drives me crazy about some of this stuff. It's not all one size fits all. There's so many things that you can do that may work. It's not all these people are like, you must do this. Right. Well, the only things you must do.
It's actually a combination of everything that kind of makes sense, right?
And what may work for you.
So if you wake up and you're starving and you like your big breakfast in the morning, eat a salad for dinner. Like you can have your biggest meal for breakfast. Right. And then, slow it down the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. It is something to be said for eating a big, huge meal. I mean,
think about what it is when you do eat a big, huge meal. Like sometimes you just want that.
I mean, think about Thanksgiving, you guys. House? No, but think about Thanksgiving. Although turkey does have the serotonin in it or whatever that makes you sleepy. I hate turkey, so
I'm more of a sides person myself. Yeah,
that's so. But you eat a big meal, your body is trying to break that down. So they're like, please
that's why you
take me to bed.
Yeah, exactly.
I need some time to work off all of this stuff that you put in my tummy.
Think about like wild animals. Like if you ever watch any of those videos or whatever, and the lions have made their kill and they eat like a full fucking elephant or something. Okay, so we're gonna equate this to a Thanksgiving meal.
A whole elephant.
Yeah, or whatever. They all pass out.
I know, that's so funny though.
But it's true, and that's what happens if you eat too much. And when you have all the heavy, rich stuff, that you're eating, and it's mostly just you're eating so much food. We all want to pack it in. It's delicious, and it's like usually a one day thing that you're gonna do that, and everybody's tired. It's like you have to chill sometimes. That's why everybody wants the nap. Ideally, you would need to drink some water and maybe just go take a stroll.
Water. Essential.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
And weight loss.
It is.
Water. So what? Calories, so we got sleep. We got protein if you want to get toned and help you lose weight. Right. You cannot lose weight without muscle.
Correct. Well, protein also helps keep you full for a long time. You can't build muscle without protein either. Yeah. And also your body, if you are at a deficiency, and women are notorious for this, and especially with the concern with going back to these weight loss drugs, these injections, that if you're not eating in general, you're definitely not getting enough protein in. And the amino acids that your body needs to create because you need to eat it is super important. And it leads to a whole other host of issues that could happen too. So protein's very important.
Ladies,
can't stress that enough.
How much water should you be drinking a day? Such a good question. I have a funny mother-in-law story after this.
Please start with that.
But you should be drinking at least half your weight in ounces a day in water. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you should be drinking 100 ounces of water a day. So my mother-in-law gets UTIs all the time. And she's always like, honey, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, you don't drink any water. She's like, yes, I do. And I'm like, how much water do you drink? And she goes, I fill up a glass every morning and I sit it by my chair and I finish it. And I'm like, that is the amount of water you're drinking a day?
What else does she drink then? Is she like a Diet Coke?
No.
Nothing?
No, nothing.
That since it happened dehydration is like a big cause when you get old. Like you just don't drink it.
It just floors me.
Yeah.
So then she goes to the doctor and she'll come home every single time. Honey, the doctor said that I'm fine. I drink enough water. I'm like, because you lied to them. You didn't tell him how much water you drink.
That's hilarious.
Like, what are you
lie about water intake? Come on, there's other things to lie about. I'm just kidding. You shouldn't lie to your physician.
But yes, so you should literally break down your weight into half your weight, and that is the amount of water you should drink every day.
Yeah, and it'll vary too. I mean, there's some days the more active you are, the time of year. I mean, it's hot. You walk outside today and it's going to be like a hot, wet wool blanket with all the humidity hitting you in the face. So you're going to sweat. So that's going to take into account, and you just need to be mindful about, water. And now what's really cool is coffee counts as water. I hope everybody knows that.
Yeah.
As long as it's not a 500 calorie drink from
What do you think about those? Interesting. I don't have an opinion on it one way or another, but those IV hydration powders.
Like the liquid IVs?
Like you can buy them at Costco, and they're like IV therapy, and they're powder, and you put it in water.
Yeah, like a liquid. So a lot of those. Listen, I love a good powder. I don't know why. I just do. That sounds really. I do. Like a liquid IV or what's the other ones? The Celsius. I'm a Celsius junkie. Those. Gatorade makes them too. And
do you think they work?
No, not really. I mean, listen, here's the thing about an electrolyte replacement.
Yeah.
They're wrong a lot of times. They either have one or the other. They don't have a full electrolyte profile.
Right.
So they may be like potassium.
I just feel like they have too much sugar.
Some of them do have too much sugar. A lot of them are sugar free or use a sugar substitute, which, by the way, that stuff gets a lot of hate. We can put up a bunch of studies about that. It's okay to have a sugar substitute,
as long as you can swallow it.
If you hate it, yeah,
awful.
Some of them are awful. But there's so many of them. But the thing is, if they're not always an accurate, if they claim that they're electrolyte supplement, which like a liquid IV would, it needs to have a few components. Salt, a lot of them won't have the salt. And I'm like, well, then you cannot call it an electrolyte supplement. Potassium and magnesium, amongst other things. So there are few, I think there's, that's an interesting question, but I do know that some of them go through and you gotta look. If it claims to be an electrolyte supplement, you gotta make sure that it has electrolytes in it.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Electrolytes are pretty simple.
Well, you know what I found? So I think that all of us are like this if you actually really get into like what you're doing. So I've run a couple of marathons. I've run New York twice and Chicago. I trained for London and I broke my leg, so it's calling my name. But on a long run, let's just say a 15 miler, I would run with little salt packets.
Oh, 100%.
Or when I was at the marathon, like people could meet you along the way, I would always have them bring me pretzels.
Yeah,
because of the salt. Like I just sweat salt crystallization, all like, and some people aren't like that, but like I just happen to be one of those people that I'm just
You're sweaty mess. So a lot of times I've heard in some races, like they don't, so I tend to run the Peachtree every year. And if people are listening to this and they're not from Atlanta, it's just like this big race literally on Peachtree Street. And it's usually, I don't know, 100 degrees at 7:30 in the morning. It's actually a really stupid thing to do if you're not prepared. Lots of people passing out. But anyway, it's a thing to do.
Do you pass by the priest that's like
that's
holy
really
water?
One of the I'm like, I need it.
Is where I end up. Like, please bless me.
Yeah, make sure I don't pass out during
you guys. This priest is like throwing out holy water on the hill that they call Cardiac Hill. That is right. The hill goes up and the hospital is right at the top. So if you
if there's a medical emergency
running at 100 degrees and you have a heart attack, you're in the right place.
You're in the right spot.
You're in the right place.
The year before last, the priest had on shorts, and I was like, "That's smart. You're smart, man. It's really fucking hot." And I'm like, "Pour it on me because it's really hot." But with that said, there are some races that they will literally hand out chicken broth. Because it's sweat, or it's salty, and you're sweaty, and you're going to need that.
You know what you get after you finish Chicago Marathon?
What?
Beer.
Oh, yeah,
that's a carb. Yeah. Like, that used to be our excuse.
And then you have one and you're hammered. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I may or may not shotgun a beer at the Peachtree, and it's cold. Yeah,
in Chicago, the marathon's in October, so you're like,
Heck yes.
Sweaty.
Yeah.
I just ran 20. You guys, I was running and I was so excited that I got to my 26 miles. I was like, I did it. I have 0.2 to go. I went, below, and I fell on my ass, like skinned my knee, like bleeding, hobbling 0.2 miles to end my marathon. And everybody's like, are you okay? Are you? I'm like, leave me alone. I'm fine.
I'm like, I don't even have any tears to cry, and I'm so disappointed.
I'm exhausted, and I just fell in front of all these people. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that
so,
sucks,
the beer was very.
You needed it for a lot of reasons.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I really did.
We're not cool enough to have any paid posts yet, but I do know a really good electrolyte. It's called Element, and it's LMNT is the name of it. And that, I mean, it is salty, but it is a great, like if you're going to go on a long run, that one I can vouch for. And it comes in some interesting flavors, but they have like a sea salt chocolate one that you can pour like in your coffee. Yeah. They're kind of pricey, as you would imagine, because all that stuff. And what's not pricey?
I know.
But that one, if you are looking for one, I can certainly, I know for a fact can vouch for that one that it actually.
Well, they also had us train with goo, for like the sugar.
Oh, yeah.
But what I found, and another little tidbit, if you're a runner and you can't, a lot of people would have to hit the porta potties after doing the goo.
Yeah.
It never affected me that way because I was one of those people that never ate before a race.
No, I can't.
And they're like, you're running 26 miles. Like, I cannot eat. I will just not be able to do anything. But I would run with Starburst.
Yeah, or jelly beans.
And I hate jelly beans, but
Starburst
I did
is a good alternative.
What did I try besides Starburst? It was just like that gooey, but you put them in your mouth and they just kind of like melt and you get that extra like
you need it,
burst of energy.
Because when you go to the expo, they'll give you like the Starburst and the goo and some protein thing and something else, and you just put it in your packet if you need it.
Which that was one of those people that could eat chocolate like that. You know how all those things have that chocolate theme, and I'm just like, that's so disgusting.
It is. There's a time and place, and chocolate isn't one of them.
Can you imagine it's 6
But yeah,
o'clock,
I like Starburst more than jelly beans. So
yeah,
I'll try that next
time. I do
time,
not like the jelly beans.
Yeah, but
never liked them.
No,
they're nasty.
They are nasty.
I see. I have a lot of food issues.
Hey, to each
cottage cheese. Ugh.
I know it is kind of but it's good for you. Ugh. I know.
I mean,
I know.
Who thought of that? Who said, "Hey, let's
eat that"?
Leave because you forgot the milk in the refrigerator.
Yeah, I know.
It gets so disgusting, and someone took like a spoonful of that and said, "You know what? I can make that into something really good for people to eat with like peaches and pineapple."
Yeah, I know. It's a weird concept, but any of this food stuff is like, some of it's fascinating if you go back and read about like why you have to cook certain things, and if cooking vegetables, it makes them easier to digest. They have a different nutrition profile, and people just did that on accident, like with potatoes, because like if you don't cook a potato, you can't eat raw potatoes. It's dangerous.
And it's gross.
And
you can put like a plant in a potato and it will grow.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah, I know. Hey, potatoes are fine. I'm just saying, but cook them, okay? It's fascinating. We could go on and on forever about that. Like,
okay, so
why food is the way it is.
Sleep, water, balanced diet, portion control.
Yeah, work, exercise, movement, body movement.
Yeah, I think that people want to lose weight and they see influencers or they watch TV or they see like that Chloe revenge body thing and they think, hey, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do that because I saw that person do it. Mm-hmm. You guys, do something you like. If it's dancing, then what is it? Zumba? Yeah, you can't catch me in one of those.
Clearly, we don't do that, but to each their own.
But there's dance classes, there's Pilates, there's yoga, there's boxing, there's weight training, there's walking, elliptical, rowing machines.
Is great.
Or hey, how about just throw on some Janet Jackson for an hour and
just do something.
Get down to the pleasure principle.
Oh.
That burns calories.
It does, 100%.
My husband likes to say that sex burns calories, but I think he's
not
lying
as much as he wishes.
I think he's lying.
No. It doesn't burn as many as you think. There's always that argument. And you're like, "Ooh, okay, no, it's not.
I
what you
just
think."
spent that amount of energy, and
no.
that was like 5 calories.
Yeah, pretty much. Maybe 50 tops.
Have you seen those things where like if you eat a Snickers bar, you have to be on the treadmill like so many?
Yes, which is it's fucked up, guys. Like, we are not a fan of this diet culture bullshit. Like, we're talking about the facts here. And to your point about these people, how dangerous these influencers can be.
Yeah.
You know, I think that some people certainly start off with good intentions, but, you know, you can also filter the shit out of a video. And a lot of times what you're seeing on there is not this person, and they get called out all the time for it. But a lot of this stuff that's being promoted,
like reposted.
Oh my God. Yeah. This is a whole other thing too, but talking about health and wellness and nutrition, there's tons of profiles out there that promote incredibly dangerous things. And it's sad because they'll have a million followers. And it's like, this person is literally telling pregnant women not to do their glucose test. Like, just, I mean, disgusting, vile stuff. And it's just wrong. And 99% of the time it's because they're trying to sell you some shit that you don't need.
Yeah.
You know?
Like with anything, you have to do your research.
You do.
Like,
people won't because they want the quick fix.
Well, someone can tell you. I can tell you. Your doctor can tell you. Even when my doctor tells me something and I'm just looking at him like, I'm just going to go home and just, do my research on that.
You're going to do that too.
Yeah. And I, because case in point, I have all these like stories, but I went to the doctor for something and my blood pressure was like 148 over, I want to say 89. And she takes my blood pressure, she takes the cuff off, and she goes on about her business. Now, this is the medical assistant. And I say to her, "Are you going to recheck my blood pressure?" And she's like, "Why? That's okay." And I'm like, that is not okay. I said, first of all, it's not okay for anybody, but I am a Black woman. Like, I should not be walking around with blood pressure at 140 over almost 90, right? Like, that's just high. So, because the new guidelines, what is it? 120 over 80 is like pre-hypertension. It used to be something like, that used to be like the standard, but now they want you even like...
Yeah. But I also wonder, it's interesting that you say that too, because I wonder if, because I've heard a lot of this come up, that I wonder if there is some sort of development, and I heard an ER doctor talk about this, that some people just walk around at 140 over 90 and they're perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. So I would like to do some research onto this blood pressure stuff and see if there's any... I don't know, because I don't think it's, obviously not blood pressure is incredibly important.
So blood pressure is so important because that is how hard your heart has to work to pump blood,
the pressure
and
in your arteries,
oxygen throughout your body. So if you have high blood pressure, your heart's having to work harder. So you want your blood pressure as low as possible. I wouldn't be comfortable walking around 140 over 90.
Right, I know.
And anybody that told me that, I'd be like, no, you need to be exercising, eating properly, and taking your blood pressure over a month to see what it is. A lot of people have high blood pressure when they go see a doctor.
Yeah,
I also have some
for sure.
ideas about.
Yeah.
But ideally, you want to take it, before standing up when you get at it, when you wake up in the morning, and then, after you, or before you have lunch while you're sitting down, and it's just, different times of the day when you're at rest. You don't want to necessarily take it when you have rushed in traffic for an hour and you're late for your appointment.
It's going to fluctuate throughout the day. And and you tell me if this has ever happened to you. Have you ever been to like a gynecologist and they're like examining you already, and they're like, "Oh, I forgot to take your blood pressure," and I'm like, "And you're going to do it now?"
No, sorry.
I've had that happen. Oh, it's a little high. Yeah.
Because your feet are in a stirrup?
Yes. And I'm about to get like entered with this cold instrument. Like, this is not okay.
Tell us how you really feel about a speculum exam.
No. Yeah. My blood pressure's saying, fuck off. This is awful. So,
Is it really that bad? I always like to know.
I think that there are certain providers that, with more experience, there's more finesse. It's really a seamless process, and it's fine.
Yeah.
I've had it where it's been absolutely terrible.
I do feel as though, like, before I was a midwife, before I did speculum exams, and back in the day when I had male doctors, there's definitely a
huge difference.
huge difference between
Had this conversation last night with people about the
a
difference
male
between,
provider versus a female
but I
provider.
think just females in general are just, with a lack of a better word, we're just gentler, I guess.
Yeah.
Versus like,
Right.
I don't know, and I don't think anybody's trying to do anything bad. It's just,
Yeah.
that's just how it is. And maybe that is definitely, I've noticed, because I've definitely, when I first, when you turn whatever and you got to go, like I had a male provider, and it was vastly different when I switched to somebody else.
And I think that's changed a lot. There are a lot more women providers now
I
than
think
there
so
used
too.
to be. But yeah, definitely there is a different touch that goes on.
Yeah.
And even I feel like the male providers did their service, whereas we as women would be like, okay, I'm going to touch the inside of your legs, and then I'm going to put in the speculum, and then you're going to feel this, like, as we walk you through.
Right.
So your brain isn't like, what is she doing? What's going on down there?
For sure.
And a guy is just like, it'll be just 5 seconds. And
It is, but then you're like, what just happened to me?
I know.
Yeah. I feel a little pinch or some discomfort. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So, yeah.
I do the whole 9 yards. Like, this is going to a brush. It's going to burn. Gonna like do
This is making everything
rotations.
clinched right now. I think regardless, it is something you got to do, but it's not.
I feel like maybe I mispracticed. Like, what's going on?
You might. She's ready to get all up in there.
Okay, so we were talking about blood pressure for some reason, which, ladies, please go get blood pressure checked annually. Well, actually, go have a physical exam annually. It's important. It really is. Your blood pressure is just, one of the things on the list, but you want to do your mammogram once a year. Well, not once a year, but when you go in for your OBGYN visit, they do a breast exam. Depending on your age, they'll do a mammogram. You should be examining your breast monthly. You need to know what your breasts feel like. So if something happens, you'll be the first person to know, even your doctor. So if you do those exams at the same time every month, in the shower is usually good because, you have the water and the soap, so it's slippery, so you can really feel if there's like and what you're feeling for is like a frozen pea is how it's explained, and that's exactly what it feels like if you feel a lump. But it's a lump, it's hard, and it's usually like the size of a frozen green pea is what you're looking for.
Right.
Most of us have dense breasts, and we have nodules and all the
Things that are
but
benign.
yeah.
But yeah, you still need to know that, though.
You can have a lump, but the lump doesn't feel like a round frozen pea.
And to go back to your blood pressure thing, to tie it into nutrition, that's also super important
Yeah.
too. Like, I mean,
Right.
one of the first things, like with everything diet, a lot of people are like, oh, why is everybody heavier? I mean, honestly, we just eat more.
Yeah.
The food is just so
And
hyper flavored.
the food also, when you are able to go to Europe, let's just say Italy, their food is natural. Like, literally, they go to the grocery store, which is a market, basically. Their grocery stores have like water, cat food, and dog food.
Right. None of
They
this
don't
hyper
have,
processed,
nothing's processed. Like, it's crazy how America is getting away with the way we
it
process.
also comes down to a matter of personal choice and education too. It's like, and like when people can get that.
Socioeconomics
that
plays
is very
a huge
true.
part. Like, if you can't afford a head of lettuce because you can only have a head of lettuce with no salad dressing, but you can afford like a hamburger and french fries at McDonald's.
Which you just shouldn't, but it's crazy,
It's
right? But
just
a lot of that's like
crazy.
it's marketing, and it's that's a whole other thing too.
Another podcast.
That's a whole nother podcast on that, but that is also very true.
Great.
Yeah,
But,
right. Yeah, that's true. A lot of I just read a study recently talking about on average, because there are certain things that people want to blame again, because they want to sell you other things. But when it comes down to it, I think on average, men, especially, they divided men and women into different age groups. And it was just like men, age 29 to 54 were on average eating an extra 350 calories a day, which is you're gonna pack on the pounds like that, and that's just your base. That's just your average. Women were at 400 at the same amount. So people are just eating more. And moving a lot less, and that's really like one of the main things. But again, the processed food, it's hyper flavored. You're gonna eat the shit out of it because it tastes good.
But what about the packaging, like non-fat, like no, like none of that stuff is true though. It's like,
I know.
Okay, in order for you to make that non-fat, ask yourself, what did they do to it?
Yeah.
What else did they put in on the other end of it?
Well, it doesn't help, even if it is non-fat or whatever. If you eat the whole entire whatever it is, you're still. That's the other thing you got to pay attention to.
You should worry about portion size.
Yeah, 100%. Again, goes back to portion. But yeah, just because somebody labels something fat-free, sugar-free, whatever it is.
Yeah. I love it. Sugar-free.
Yeah, I'm like, it's still gonna have calories, so just pay attention to that.
Low fat. That's another one. I said no fat, but it's low fat.
Low fat. Oh, there's non-fat stuff too. It's it's questionable.
They have non-fat cottage cheese.
I actually think that there might be like a non-fat, and I'm sure it's awful.
I thought you were just gonna say no. It has no calories.
No, I mean it's all gonna have calories, but they do have like a low. Like I do like a 2%. I mean you can do whole milk or whatever. I'm terrified anything below 2% because I'm like, there's no way that's gonna be nasty. So that's why I stick around the 2%.
Yeah, I do 2%. I think.
Yeah.
I don't like the taste of whole milk.
It's like thick.
If I drink whole milk, I have to drink it with ice, and I guess I figured out. Oh, you're watering down your milk. That's how you like it.
Yeah, so stick with 2%.
Oh, yeah, so I should go lower. You guys, I also have to apologize. I might have to do this every single episode, but I have Invisalign, and so I slur and
I didn't even notice it.
oh my god, my tongue gets stuck on them so often that I'm like, and I feel like I'm spitting all over.
She's got to wear her Invisalign, people. Gonna finish it.
It's like I got my Invisalign, and now I'm just like, when do these come off? It's awful.
Aren't you almost done?
No, they messed up, and they had to start all over. I got all new trays.
Oh no.
They said, you have 44 trays. And I looked at them and I was like, is that not almost a year? Like, you mean like there's 52 weeks in a year?
I mean, you started this a long time ago.
Like, yeah, over a year ago. And they're only supposed to be like 8 or 9 months.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they messed up that bad.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks. See, she's really got to wear them. So, there you go.
Yeah, slur over here.
It's not the champagne.
This time.
Yeah.
Well, couple the two.
Yeah. Don't ask us later. Then we can't blame the Invisalign. It is Saturday. Just saying.
What else do you think that we need to talk about in regards to nutrition? Like helpful hints or maybe some words of wisdom? I think that this is incredibly hard. But I'm going to say it anyway because I try to get there on a regular basis, but you really need to love yourself right where you are. I mean, the stress of always waking up and thinking my stomach's too fat or my arms are this or my legs are that, can be really harmful to your mental health, right? Yep. And it can make it really hard for you to lose weight because I guess we didn't even talk about the fact that sleep is important, but stress is important too. If you're too stressed, like your body doesn't respond well. And it's kind of one of those things where you starve yourself, right? Your body doesn't allow you to lose weight because
you're already stressed. You're stressing.
You're stressed, but your body's like, I haven't had any food today. I need to hang on to these fat reserves because she's not feeding me. This is like and you can't work out
if you don't feel. Yeah, it's a vicious cycle too. And obviously, the more stressed you are, it's going to hinder your sleep. Yeah, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So your inability to do so. So I would just say, because it's a vast, and we could probably do like a bazillion different shows on specific types of nutrition, and we've talked about a few different things today, but I think in summary, obviously, yes, stop comparing yourself.
Yeah. It's not.
It's your own journey and whatever you want to do. I always like to support people doing whatever kind of fitness thing they want to do within reason, as long as it's not taking a turn. And I'm also telling this to myself because I've had a whole history of doing awful shit to myself over the exact same thing. Okay, so
it's not accepting where you are.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you're accepting where you are, there's always room for improvement. But
there always is.
Like, basically at the end of the day, I mean, if you just don't be a shitty human and you should pretty much like yourself.
You would think.
Don't you think?
You would think. Yeah, but don't be shitty human.
Yeah, but don't be a shitty human. But I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, and I can't remember who told me this. I think it was, so I remember. Rich told me this, and Rich is my husband's brother. And he said, I think we were at a pool party. Well, it was a party, and they have a pool.
It's a pool party.
Yes. He said, it's so crazy that women have no idea what we just don't give a shit about.
That's interesting. That's
and
true.
I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, we don't look at the shit that y'all look at. I don't know who has cellulite and who doesn't. Like, I don't think about that. I don't look at that.
I have had men ask what cellulite is, and I'm like, you bastards.
Like,
well, all right.
Like judging ourselves on a level that men are just like, basically, you got boobs, we're good.
Yeah.
Like, and some of them don't even like that.
Right. But a lot of this, and we should probably do a show on this, but it is. But also this whole thing too. We get this complex because of other women.
Yes.
Well, let's put a pin in that for later, but I think that is part of the comparison.
Yeah, women notoriously are not kind to each other.
We're not nice to each other. And I
don't understand why.
I think we're bred that way to some degree, and I think a lot of it is society, but I think there's just probably, it would be really interesting to delve in the psychology of that and figure out why. But I think we obviously, but bodies are so different. Like, it is what it is. So all this is your own journey. So I would just say people need to pay, and it's hard to get the noise out because there's the great thing about having access to all this information is that you have access to all this information. The bad thing is being able to weed out what's wrong.
Yeah.
And what might not apply to you.
You
really do. And it's I say this all the time, there's no quick fix. And I know when we talk about Ozempic and some of these semaglutides and everything like that, that is kind of a quick fix. But again, there's no free lunch in this game. No. So it's like, even though that is a good way to
help you portion control.
Yeah, it's going to come down to your habits.
Appetite, yeah.
If you're not changing those or developing those, and eventually you stop taking the stuff, and I know it has happened, it's going to come back and it's going to be worse. So with that said, if you're on it, if you're not, if you're trying to figure out how to start with the basics, like watch your portion control.
Talk to your doctor.
Talk to a doctor. That's also a good way to go, like, find your baseline. Because say you're just like, you don't give a shit about weight, but like, say there's something, maybe it's your blood pressure, maybe it's your blood work, maybe you got to work on a liver enzyme, maybe it's something like that. Start focusing on your health. And cholesterol is a huge one. And that's, that we can go on about cholesterol too. It's like a lot of that is genetic now. And so you've got to figure out how to, because you literally can't get rid of that.
Right.
But you got to be able to manage that, and having a good diet and exercise routine is important. So, if you're not exercising, find something you like to do. The easiest, cheapest thing in the world to do is walk. It is the best. It burns fat. It's great. It's easy.
And then if you're walking with a girl squad, I mean, what's better than that?
Exactly.
You get free therapy.
You do.
And exercise at the same
100%.
time. I mean, the husbands won't like it when you come home.
They won't. You might get a divorce. I'm just kidding. But no, if you have a walking buddy, or sometimes like when the weather's nice and we want a
little libation.
We walk. We got to earn that. Yeah. Think about these little carrots that you can put in front of you, to get yourself to do things. But
Amanda and I have been known to like a thirsty Thursday or two.
Or 3.
So we make sure that we're at the gym 6-7 o'clock in the morning, because we know
we're not fucking around, people.
5 p.m. there's a drink somewhere to be had.
Yes. Or we'll walk to our spot if weather prevailing, or if it's not 8,000 degrees or negative 12. It just depends on what the weather wants to do. But so watch your portions. get off your butt. You really got to get moving. Our bodies are designed to move.
Yep.
Accept yourself. It's your own journey, and you have resources. And a big thing is health, wellness, and fitness and exercise does not have to be complicated. You're going to get
Make it
scared by a
fun.
lot of people. Make it fun. And it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy and indulge if you like a cocktail from time to time. If you know you're going to go out and get that whatever food
Or
you
goal
like.
related. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to Greece in 2 weeks. I should. Well, you guys don't start 2 weeks before anything. Like, I have a trip to Greece in 4 months. Let me start like walking or doing sit-ups or like, reward yourself.
Well, not to mention with that too, it's like if you are going to a destination where you're going to be walking and being a tourist and haven't been walking, that is a great goal.
You're gonna have a rough time.
You're not going to be able to do it if you don't get out and I think that's a really good goal.
Yeah.
That is a great goal to do if you're going to go somewhere where you're going to be walking around like Greece.
I feel like if you feel like going to the Atlanta airport and getting on the tram and walking from like gate 1, I mean, like, you know how like which one is all the way down the
if you go from like A to like yeah
if walking to the gates at Atlanta Hartsville is a problem for you, don't think about going on a walking vacation because
right. I know. Well,
it's not going to end
I will
well.
say a good place to get steps is the airport.
Airport.
I mean, you'll get them done like that. You'd be like, geez, I already walked like 5 miles today. I've definitely had that happen.
Yeah, just trying to find the Delta sky room.
Yeah, maybe find one that's not crowded.
Is that possible?
It depends. The international terminal, no, it's not. It's impossible. But there are some that you're like, I'm just going to go over to this concourse here. We'll see.
Well, guys, it was so fun talking with Amanda today. I hope we made it make sense. Please email us. Let us know what you want to hear, what you want to talk about, what you want more of, more explanation. We will try very hard on Truth and Tonic for Women to put up as much research and information on the YouTube page as possible so you know where we're coming from. It's always our opinion. We're always going to do the best that we can to research it and give you the best information. So again, thanks for spending some time with us today. Thank you for watching Truth and Tonic for Women. If you have any questions, leave a comment and let us know. Also, follow us on social media to interact with the community. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.